our promise. This is what I promised to do. You know, one thing that I respect about previous generations, probably the people who grew up in the Depression era or pre-Depression era. One thing about those people, if you run into any of them, they're pretty much, they say they're going to do something. You can just put it in the bank. They're going to do it. Even if they have to put themselves out to do it. Because they say that's what I said I was going to do it. I know my mama one time promised, I can't even remember what it was she promised to do. But anyway, it involved having some money, and then the money disappeared, and she put herself out. Because she said that's what I promised to do. And so I have got to meet that commitment. You know, and as the generations have, I hate to say progressed, because it's like we've regressed instead of progressing. You know, I just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll be there, and then we let any little wind come along and push us off of what we said we were going to do. We're all guilty of it. Why is promise keeping important in relationships?
He just said the word. You don't. If you tell somebody something, you don't do it. They get, I mean, I got caught. But every time somebody needs some help move, they'll call Daryl. They know Daryl gonna come help them move. You call. They don't call nobody else. Daryl, can you help me move, sir? Yeah, I got you. No, sir, I already know I got to do something to do, sir. I already promised that I'm gonna help somebody do this. They don't call. I mean, they'll call me Friday and ask me, but I mean, some of my cousins, well, I'll be back. Oh, they ain't coming back. You might well let's find somebody else, but they ain't coming back.
So what you're saying, that's showing your character.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said it earlier, trustworthiness.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
showing your character. And, I mean, you wouldn't be in a relationship with somebody that tells you they're gonna do something all the time and they don't do it.
Right.
I mean, you because there's no bond. If you don't keep your promise, then there's no bond. There's no relationship. I mean,
Right.
you're showing how important a person is by, following through with your commitment, rather than just saying, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm not gonna do it. This come up, and you letting them know how important that they are to you.
Yeah.
When you stick on you.
So when we look at promise from a biblical perspective, it's really along the same lines almost of a covenant. And that's one of the things that they really were heavy with in the Old Testament, is that when they made a promise or a covenant with one another, they were bonding pretty much each other almost to a deathly perspective. If they didn't fulfill what they said that they were going to do, a lot of times it would almost cost them their life, or there would be a heavy
Severe consequence.
a severe consequence for them not fulfilling a promise. So, or a covenant. So basically, it's a reassurance that I spoke this, but when I say I promise, I'm binding, and that's what it is. It's a binding of me and you in almost a contractual type of deal. So if I'm not fulfilling what I said that I would do, then I'm breaking a sacred bond, because this is the same thing that God established with people in the Old Testament. He would say, slay an animal, walk through the animal, and he would make a covenant with people, a promise of what he had already previously spoken. So that's why it's really important, because it's like we're making a covenant with one another.
And I think that this is just a side note, sometimes we really forget. We literally forget what we committed to. And especially if it's something that's a long term. I think if you're married, every now and then you need to go back and review those vows that you repeated at the altar. If you got a job, every now and then you ought to pull out your job description and read it. So you're not mad at your boss because they asked you to do something that's actually in your job description. Come on now. We are humans. We, you know, every now and then we ought to sit down and think about, you know, what does it really mean, my commitment to God? And what am I really doing? One pastor said, you know, I can tell you where your priorities are. Hand me your checkbook. Or your bank statement. I'll tell you where your priorities are. These are the things we need to ask ourselves and kind of review. You know, I said out of my mouth, I'm committed. All right, but then when the rubber meets the road, what am I doing with that? You know, am I really? What are my actions saying? My mouth could be saying one thing. How many people have you seen? Okay, so I'm gonna beat up on the men. I love you, baby. I love you. Like this guy here. I love you, baby.
Don't do
The
it.
best thing, you the best thing. I tell you what. You the one. You pregnant? What? Shh. It's not mine. I don't think it's mine.
Ain't mine.
Because I know you were fooling around with it. Back it up real fast, don't they? Put it in reverse. So my point was, you know, it's what's coming out of your mouth and what you say you're committed to, what you're promising. How are your actions lining up with that? So that's just a sidebar. All right. Can I get somebody?